Hey everybody, Alan McGuckin here from Dynamic Sponsorships with a guy I call living legend, Shaw Grigsby.
I am alive.
Alive and always laughing. I'll start right there.
There we go.
People know you as a guy that's had an illustrious career. 16 Bassmaster Classics, a whole pile of Bassmaster wins. Those of us that know you off the water see you as far more than just a great, great angler. Bob Bagby, your longtime sponsor from Zebco Quantum, said, I don't know if it's possible for Shaw Grigsby to ever get depressed.
I do get depressed. When you do bad, you can't help but get depressed, and it motivates you to do good the next tournament. But it really doesn't do any good for you. So the bottom line is I'm a big Christian, and I always believe that. In fact, I have it on the back of my collar. Is Romans 8:28, which is all things work for the good, that those that love God and are called according to His purpose. And so what that's telling you is that even in those bad times, something good comes out of it. And so you always remember that. It's okay, man. I'm smiling.
That applies to way more than fishing, doesn't it,
Yes,
buddy?
it does. Yes, it does.
Let's dive into fishing. Who ignited your passion for the sport of fishing?
I'm going to say my dad. My dad would always take me fishing, whether it was saltwater, freshwater. We loved it, trout fishing in the mountains. But focused on bass fishing was a kid that was in Boy Scouts with me. His name is Jerry Beavis, and he was just big into bass fishing. And so when he came over to my school, I knew him from Boy Scouts, and he was a new kid, so he didn't know anybody. So he and I kind of hooked up, and he focused me towards bass fishing. Invited me to fish tournaments with him. It was really awesome.
You mentioned saltwater fishing. A lot of people don't know this. Shaw is a passionate whitetail deer hunter, but also loves saltwater. If you were going to give up this great bass fishing career for one saltwater species, what saltwater species would it be?
Dude, there's so many great ones, but I'd have to put it as tarpon. Fly fishing for tarpon, to me, is the epitome of fishing.
The biggest one you've ever caught on a fly?
About 180. It's
180-pound tarpon on a fly rod.
A fly rod, man. It was awesome.
All these guys that you formed friendships with on the Bassmaster Trail over the years, if we were having a team tournament, let's say you had to pick one Elite Series angler as your team fishing partner for the next year, no matter where we're going to go compete, you get one guy. And don't worry about hurting feelings. Everybody loves Shaw Grigsby. One guy you'd have as a team partner.
Gosh, Alan, that's a tough one. I mean, the first off the top, and I've fished with him 3 different times in tournaments back in the old days, was Rick Clunn, I would think, just because I love his passion, and he has so much. I mean, imagine winning an Elite Series at almost 70. That would be my first thought, is just to spend time in the boat with him. But some of these young and upcoming guys are awesome, to spend some time in the boat with them. So, Kevin, of course, I spent numerous days fishing with him, filming with him, and so he's like the best of the best, and he's incredible to learn from. I don't know that I could pick a guy.
And you're not being politically correct here.
I'm not.
There's just so many great ones, aren't there?
There's so many great ones, and Brandon Polnick, I got to know him just a little, but the guy is class act. You just keep going from angler to angler, and you look at the Elite Series. I don't know that there'd be anybody that I'd say. I mean, there might be a couple guys that I'd say I really don't want to fish with them, but there would only be that. I mean, you could tick 1 or 2 guys.
We're very fortunate that we work around great people.
It's a big fraternity. They're great anglers, and so if I had to answer that, it might be the Clunn that I would take, just because I love him. He's a great angler. He's definitely inspirational, and just love every minute of wisdom you get out of him.
There's a lot of guys that would love to get in the boat with you, especially during the spawn, to see what you do, to pick your brain. Give us 2 pieces of advice, something that you see people doing wrong, 2 things every amateur guy should know during the spawn. Fire away.
Well, I guess the first one's going to be don't fish too fast, and most people do. They throw a bait, in the bed and work it real quick, and then work it, and the fish gets used to that just leaving, so they're not going to react to it. So don't fish fast, number 1, and number 2, a big one, is to make that cast past the bed, to where it's past and then coming to it, because by the time your bait gets there, if you're working it slow, they're getting all flustered that something's coming to them, and they a lot of times get it before it ever gets there.
I'm going to end with this one. You talk about the spawn. Let's say you're walking through the boat yard at the Bassmaster Classic, and you hear some of your peers whispering behind your back, in a good way. Would you rather that they were saying, there goes the best sight fisherman that's ever lived, or there goes one of the greatest Christians I've ever met?
I'd rather be Christian.
Yeah, I kind of figured that was the answer.
Yeah, there's so much, it permeates every part of your life. And once you realize what God does and what he's doing every minute. I mean, Jesus in my life, without Jesus, I wouldn't have what I have. With him, I have everything.
We'll end right there, man. That's pretty powerful. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, sir.